Hey, everybody. Welcome to our second, I can't believe it, but our second official episode of Over It. I am Julie Roginski. I'm here, and I'm going to go clockwise from the way I can see it. Jojo from Jers, Tara Setmayer, and Michelle Kinney, who, unlike the rest of us, is on vacation in a nice warm climate somewhere, and therefore not freezing her butt off the way the rest of us are. But you guys, it's been, I'm basically over this presidency, and it's been a month. But it's been hard. We are officially a month into our new dystopia. So I want to just acknowledge that this is our new reality, and so much has happened over the last month that I don't even know where to begin of being over it, other than to say thank you all for joining us today. People who are watching, people who are streaming live, people who will be watching us later. On repeat. We are really grateful to you guys, and we're so grateful for you joining us last week. We had an incredible kickoff. We also had an incredible second coffee and conversation on Saturday. We're going to repeat that again at 10 a.m. this coming Saturday. So send us your comments. That's great for us, and I hope it is great for you guys as well. I want to actually start off with a global kind of what I'm over now that we're a month into our new reality, guys, because there's one common denominator. Well, there are many common denominators, but there's one theme that's just amazing to me. And it really has to do with the fact that we are now living in a post-expertise world. Mm-hmm. We're living in an administration where the President of the United States and everybody he's surrounded himself with thinks that they're experts, but they're not. Right. And one thing caught my eye, which many things caught my eye, but one of the best examples of this, and if you could just throw this headline up because it's just crazy. RFK Jr., P.S., not a doctor, wants to send people who he claims are addicted to antidepressants, which he, by the way, thinks is everybody who's taking antidepressants, because according to him, if you take antidepressants, it is more addictive than heroin, which he used to be on. So you're a bigger addict if you take Wellbutrin or Prozac or anything else than he was when he was shooting up heroin. He wants to send them to farms. He wants to just cold turkey it, just get off of it and go to a farm. And I don't know what you're going to be doing in this farm. According to him, you're going to be working hard, basically like a re-education camp, I guess. You're going to be working hard and doing manual labor, and that's how you're going to get rid of your depression, because obviously it's all in your head, and it's not. I mean,
not exactly White Lotus here, going to a wellness resort.
Can we talk about White Lotus for a minute after we're done with this? But
I haven't watched it. Yeah,
I haven't seen it either.
All right, then we're not going to watch it now.
I watched it last night, but it's so far okay. The first two seasons were great, so we'll see. This one has potential.
I mean, this is the guy that said heroin made him a better student, right? This is the guy whose running mate said that if you just go in the sun for a few hours, you'll be able to have kids. Like if you're infertile. We should not be taking health advice, speaking of like post expertise, from a guy who blended up baby birds. Okay, like let's keep it this real, right? You don't have to be a medical expert to know that this is not a medical expert, and putting our health and our safety in his hands is the definition of insanity.
But what scares me, guys, is that he is out there saying this stuff, and there are people who are going to believe him.
Yes.
People are going to die because I think each of us has known, all of us, every single person watching the show has either themselves or has known somebody who's been deeply depressed, or maybe not even so deeply depressed, just needed a little extra help to get over a really bad time in their life.
Yeah.
And to suddenly say that you're some sort of, to shame them, to say that they're a worse addict than somebody who takes heroin, and to basically say that, by the way, drop your life. Like a lot of people need this stuff to get through their day, right? Because their moms, their dads, they need to go to work. They need to function, right? After a breakup or a death.
Well, there's like a chemical imbalance in your brain. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm very open about it. I've been on antidepressants like on and off most of my adult life, and it makes my life better. I can function. I can get up in the morning. I can live my life. And when I saw that headline, I was like, you come for my antidepressants, babe, I'm coming for you, for real. Because, I don't really want to take health advice from somebody who sounds like how he sounds, who looks like a boiled catcher's mitt. Like, I can't. it's also awful.
And Michelle, like, you're not going to suddenly leave your job, leave your husband, leave your life to go to a farm.
Jesus.
Because of course you've got all the time in the world to go to some farm. And by the way, who's paying for this farm is the other question. We're not having universal mental health care, because that would be fantastic.
Right.
That would be great. But like, are you now suddenly out of your own pocket?
Right.
Because I know, like, I've had friends who've gone to rehab either for drug addiction or for mental break. They're really expensive. They're really like $30,000 a week or something. Like,
yeah,
it's
crazy.
I'm sure Jones will be all over that.
Yeah.
And like, and so like if I were depressed and somebody said to me, you have to go to a farm to get over it, I'd be depressed at the farm thinking of everything that I'm leaving behind to try to get better. Like, what if you're not a Kennedy and you don't have?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Julie. Like, what are we all going to Nantucket? We're all going to, the Kennedy compound. Is that where he's going to let people in? This again is so how out of touch these people are, which is why it's so frustrating to watch people, regular everyday Americans, look at Donald Trump and his administration as people who speak for them. Mm-hmm. No, they don't. This freaking guy just suggested that if you're depressed, you should drop what you're doing and go to a farm for a wellness retreat, for fuck's sake, and drink matcha. I mean, listen, for people who can do that, God bless. You know what I mean? Like, whatever works for you, that's great. But the average person, and there is a legitimate conversation about whether we are an over-medicated country and whether some of those antidepressants are good or bad, or whether they're overprescribed, especially for kids. Like, there is a legit conversation, but with experts, scientists and doctors and researchers who actually spend their life's work researching these things, that have science behind what they say, not a brain worm eating heroin, what does he have? A bear cub?
Bear dumping.
Right? Down the street from my house.
Right. Elitist conspiracy theorist asshole telling us, yeah, this is who's going to control all of it. This is the problem. And I think that, as we have these conversations, it's important to remember who is actually in charge now. Like, this guy is no longer notional. He's in charge now. And this is the guy that's making a decision to go in and, like, let's say, get rid of 10% of the CDC, like, which they did over the weekend. They got rid of doctors and people. Like, Doge is going in and he's like, yeah, that's great. Let's do it. And his solution is now, let's send people to farms. I'm sorry, that gives me the willies for a couple of reasons. A, the impracticality, but I don't like the idea of sending people anywhere like that.
Well, it's very Handmaid's Tale, like sending people to the colonies. That's like the first thing that I thought.
Yeah. Well, that, and you're not right. Whatever. And you're not actually helping them. Like, I have family members whose lives were saved by antidepressants. I mean, they would not be here right now if not for that medication. And so these are people who are going to go to farms, right? Like you said, camps, etc. Right. And it's one flew over the cuckoo's nest. And and again, here we are, like, post expertise, post facts. Because we have, the melon-hued Messiah going out there saying, well, if Ukraine didn't start this war, and it's like, what the fuck happened to facts? We are so post-fact, and people, again, to your point, everyone said this, people will believe this stuff.
Yes, because we have a lack of literacy in this country. We in our chat yesterday, Michelle posted a really good Instagram video of this woman who was a teacher. She taught adult literacy. She's got 2 degrees, Black woman, by the way. And she was like, listen, unfortunately, most of Americans read at a 6th grade level. And we need to talk to people in more simple terms that they understand. Democrats are talking over people's heads oftentimes. And this is something that I've said for years and years and years. If people have followed me and my career and they know that I have said this often, that we have to have simple messages. And unfortunately, the education system in our country, which they're trying to now dismantle, the Department of Education, for a reason. They want to keep people sick and dumb. Because when you are sick and dumb and you don't have knowledge, you can't make informed decisions. And it was right.
And you're dependent.
That's right. And then you're dependent on the almighty, Messiah, the only I can fix it, the dictator figure, the father figure that's going to come in and I'll save you. This has happened in history before. This ain't new, people. So when when historians are sounding the alarms and giving examples, I don't know why people listen. The historians, they went to school and got the degrees in it so they could tell us. So just listen. No shade if you don't know history like that. But there are those of us who are trying to let you know so that you understand and they can make an informed decision. But they don't want people. They want people to be sick and dumb so they can depend, to Julie's point, on dear leader. And that's how you lose your freedom and your democracy.
Sick and dumb and poor. They want them poor. They want them sick. They want them overwhelmed. They want them, embroiled in chaos. They want them distracted.
Yep.
And what's just incredible to me is that we have turned the government over to another completely unqualified human being who has no expertise in anything other than figuring out how to rip the federal government off to enrich himself. That would be Elon Musk, whose entire fortune is built on the incentives and the tax breaks he got from the federal government, which is why he used to love Barack Obama, because back in the Tesla days in the beginning, he got a ton of federal money to get that going. And that's why he loves Chinese. I mean, again.
What's federal money, though, Julie? We need to remind people. Federal money is American taxpayer dollars. It's our money. Our money. The congressman I used to work for used to always say when he would bring, when students or groups would come for tours of the Capitol, he would always say, all right, guys, we're going to go and stop along the way at the money tree on the west lawn of the Capitol. And people would go, wait, what? And then they were like, and he's like, there's no money tree on the west lawn of the Capitol, to make the point that this is all paid for by us. And people lose sight of that. And I wish that there was more. We did it, right? Seneca put out our welfare queen ad, which has been doing great, by the way. Thank you guys. Keep liking and sharing it. And because no one else is putting stuff out there like that, going after Elon and pointing out that he mooched off our tax dollars to become rich. Again, SpaceX and Tesla.
Your point in plain language too, explaining it in plain language.
Yes,
part of it too, because I mean, if you have to go through 6, 7, 8, 9 points to get to the point, no, that's literally one line. He's stealing money from you. He's stealing money from American taxpayers. The end.
And by the way, from you means you farmers in Kansas.
Yes.
Do you think this wasn't going to come for you? I mean, one of the most astounding stories that I read, I think it was over the weekend, I think we all shared it in our chat, was a farmer saying, I invested $50,000 in the second phase of my farm to upgrade my farm or update my farm because I had a guarantee that I was going to get reimbursed by the federal government. And now I'm 50,000 out, and I was told that the money is just stopped. It stopped. And I voted for Donald Trump, and how can this happen to me?
Yeah.
Well, here's why it could happen to you. I mean, there's many reasons why it could happen to you. First of all, he doesn't care about you. You delivered, he got what he needed. Understand, this transaction is complete. You completed the transaction. You voted for him, and now the transaction is over. It's not like he's going to suddenly save you because you voted for him and screw the rest of us because we didn't. So that's one. And two, it goes back to my whole level of expertise. They don't understand. They thought when they were cutting off USAID that they were cutting off poor little children in sub-Saharan Africa, and who cares if they died?
Right?
Who cares? They're cutting off Ukraine right now, but they don't understand that the money for Ukraine is not going to pay Ukrainian soldiers. It is going to pay defense contractors, American industries that produce the armaments that are being shipped to Ukraine. A lot of those people voted for Donald Trump.
And American farmers, Julie, the USAID portion of this is also that they don't realize how much of that money goes back to U.S. farmers and businesses to get shipped overseas. This is called being part of the global marketplace. Yeah. And so they're screwing their own people, and the people who voted for Trump, they're going, wait a minute, wait. He was supposed to come for them, not for us. And they're in find out phase. And it's a shame because it's going to cascade. People are going to lose their family farms that they've had for generations. What then? And just I see in the comments, people are saying that we're shaming Elon for being rich. No, we're not. God bless.
Oh, please. Oh, God. Yes, that's what they need is a warrior.
Right. I'm like, none of us are shaming anyone for capitalism and being rich. We're pointing out the fact that this guy got rich gaming the system, our tax dollars, rescued his failing businesses, and now he has bought himself a president and is running our fucking government. Okay, nobody elected this guy. Nope. So that's a problem, because last time I checked, those people who are giving excuses to Elon, they wouldn't like it. They didn't like it when Republicans were running around claiming George Soros was buying Democrats. This boogeyman billionaire pulling the strings. That was behind the scenes. Yeah. Not actually in the damn Oval Office and inside our agencies and inside the IRS with our tax dollar information, not inside the Social Security Administration, not inside the Pentagon, not inside our nuclear secrets, not inside our Social Security Administration, the FDA, the DOJ, the Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security. This guy and his douchebags are inside everything, every aspect of our government.
And they know everything about you. By the way, what Tara means by that is that social security number that you're told to always give the last 4 digits. There's a reason for that, because they don't want giving anybody all the digits, because that's really proprietary information where somebody can steal your identity, ruin your credit rating, impersonate you, like basically bankrupt your bank account, take all the money out of your bank, all these things. Guess who's got access to it? Elon Musk. Because if you've ever signed up with the IRS to have a tax refund that goes back into your bank account, direct deposit, which is what a lot of people do who get tax refunds, guess what's going to happen now? He has your bank account information and your social security numbers.
Yep. With a stroke of a cup of keys, these 24-year-old white nationalist Doge guys, okay, don't believe me? Go look at who they are. They can do this with a stroke of the keys right now.
And so it's on a private server. P.S. Remember Hillary's, oh my God, her private server? It is on their private servers. They've admitted that they've transferred it to private servers.
That means emails.
Who has it? Who has it? Where is it? And they've emailed CIA, clandestine CIA spy information over email.
What I don't understand, what I will forever try and squeeze out of this guy is why, in the midst of all of this, of all of this self-gelding and self-punching themselves, dick punching, why they're telling the rest of us to cry harder. To cry harder. How is it to win? My friend Jess Piper, she's very astute. She said, can you imagine being a government employee making $40,000 processing Medicaid payments to a parent with medically fragile children is the enemy, while thinking a billionaire who sends his sperm to random women and takes billions from the government to go to Mars is the good guy? What the fuck?
Amen to that, Jess.
She is a goddamn genius. Thank you for Jess Piper. But I will just say, I don't understand how they have gone so far afield into like doubling down on this shit that they know they're finding out. They are living it. They're walking it. They're looking at the fucking eggs that are gone from the shelves. And they're like, cry harder, JoJo. Shed more tears. It's the most delicious cup of tears I've had today. You stupid morons. Wake the fuck up. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
Well, and by the way, I'll speak for myself. I'm not on Medicare and I'm not on Medicaid and I don't take Social Security money. And by the way, if I never get my Social Security check, I'll still be okay. I don't send my kids to public school. I'm not a farmer. Like I'm not the one being punished. You guys are. Yep. Because it is you who voted for him. Think about demographically who tends to vote for Kamala Harris and who tends to vote for Donald Trump. Demographically, he is screwing his own base.
Yep.
He's screwing his own base. I did not invest $50,000 in a farm expecting the federal government to pay me back. I did not, I'm not looking to go on Medicare or Medicaid anytime soon.
Yep. And
they are.
Yeah. And think about like the kids with cancer and the kids with special needs and, all of the marginalized folks that are not going to get these services. Those are not political things. They don't care how you vote. The diseases don't give a flying fuck how you vote. So if you got the NIH and the CDC, and meanwhile you're making our food and our infant formula less safe because you've got the FDA, and meanwhile planes are landing upside down if they're not falling out of the sky altogether because you let the Doge bags run the FAA. Like none of these things are political. Like, how do these people think this won't touch me? It's cognitive dissonance. And it's like, I know there are a lot of people we can't reach. I get that there are some people who are just so far gone and so dug in, but there are a lot of people who we can reach and who can talk to in real plain language with amazing content like Seneca makes, with constantly ringing the alarm and sounding the bell and standing up and speaking out instead of putting out friggin' memos and emails and blah, blah, blah. Like, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that brings us, Joe, to what you want to talk, what you're over. Because you're kind of over the same thing I'm over, but with a little bit of a twist.
Oh
yeah,
God.
I mean, here we are. Yes, we are 4 women who are very dialed in. We talk about politics all the time, because we understand, first of all, this is something we're very passionate about because we love this country. We believe in the promise of America. We do talk about politics all the time. It's not the sum total of our existences. We're also 4 independent individual women with lives of our own and loves of our own and passions of our own. But yeah, we talk about politics all the time. But that does not mean that everything has to be political. I am sick and tired. For instance, I have family very proudly who served in the armed forces in this country. My father was in the DOD for 50 plus years on a military base. I'm very proud to have constantly visited. I don't need to see the United States Army tweeting libs of TikTok. Okay. Yeah. I don't need to politicize our branches of military. Some things just like to be alone. If you ever saw Big Night, sometimes pasta like to be alone. Okay, that was my terrible Italian accent, but nonetheless, there it is. Sometimes spaghetti, I think. If somebody correct me, please, in the chat, because I'm a little riled up today. I've had way too much caffeine. But I am tired and I'm over. I'm over everything being political. The Super Bowl has to be political. Goddamn cookies have to be political. Orange juice, lip gloss. Stop. Stop it. Stop. I'm hearing of political things being said in my son's school where he is keenly aware of the way his teachers vote, and I am over it. Some things just need to be alone. Yes, there's a time and a place for politics. Yes, we do that as a foursome all the time. That sounds like a sex thing. I have to make a sex reference every time we talk. I'm sorry. It just is the way that I am. But everything doesn't have to be political. Can we please just get a grip? And Donald Trump has done that. I believe firmly that is his influence. He has turned everything into some kind of political commentary, and I'm over it. That's it.
Yeah, I have to say, one of the things that I really loved when Trump first left the scene in 2021 was not thinking about the president for a few days.
Yeah.
Whole days when I didn't really think about Joe Biden. And maybe that's not good for Joe Biden, but it was really mentally healthy for me. And now, as you point out, Joe, every single thing is political. Every single thing is political.
Yep. Well, I used to say we can have our Sunday brunches back because during the 4 years that Trump was in office the first time, we had no downtime. There was no safe time where you could just it used to be Sunday afternoon. You could go out with your family or, lay on the couch or go to brunch and not have to worry about what's happening. And I was like, yeah, when Biden came into office, I was like, yay, we can brunch again.
I remember early on in the first Trump administration, there was the Muslim ban, and then there was something, I forget. It was just like a nonstop deluge of just horrible things going on. And I remember being at a protest down in the West Village, and somebody had a sign that said, protesting is the new brunch, because it seemed like every Saturday and Sunday, that's what we were doing in our, January, February get up. We were freezing down in the Village or down in Lower Manhattan with our signs, marching through the streets. And, we'd get to the end of the street or whatever, and we'd look around, okay, bye, see you next weekend. And that's just like what life was like at that time,
Yep.
So many pictures of it, it's just crazy to think of how long ago that was now. And for me personally, I can't march in the streets anymore. I personally, I can't do it anymore because I feel like I did it so much, but God bless the people that are out there doing it now. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of people across the country out protesting on Monday, on President's Day. And I commend every single person for going out, making their voices heard, showing up in person, having that community of people with shared values and shared concerns for the future of the country. So God bless.
Yeah, my mom was out there. My mom went on Monday.
Oh, wow.
Our little in our town where we are, she went and was like, listen, I can't complain about what's going on if I'm not going to be a part of trying to, be a part of the solution. So she went and took pictures and sent them. I should post them. But yeah, my mom, and she's 70.
I love it. You know what's interesting though? There's an article, a little off topic, but not really considering what Michelle just said. There's an article on CNN.com a few days ago, and it was a crazy article start to finish. It began with certain senators saying, well, we don't really know about shutting down the government because, oh God, we might get blamed for that. And I was like, we're not in charge. If you knew how to message, you'd understand that we wouldn't get blamed because we're not in charge. But if you're saying we're going to get blamed, we're going to get blamed. So self-fulfilling prophecy. But the other part of it that I thought was really interesting was that there was some anonymous quote from there's a congressman who said that he spoke to activists, people who protested before, who then basically said, well, we're afraid of protesting now. They had no problem protesting during the Biden administration, but we're kind of scared of protesting now for two reasons. One is we're afraid that he's basically going to invoke like the Insurrection Act or some sort of martial law if we keep protesting. So we better not protest. And the other is we're worried about him coming after us personally. Well, all very nice to have, this is my view, and maybe people disagree, very nice to pound your chest and be these freedom fighters when there are no consequences. But the real part of protesting and the real part of putting your money where your mouth is this. It's speaking up, even when you think they might come for you. Even if you're worried that he's going to use that as an excuse to invoke the Insurrection Act or invoke martial law, because P.S., by basically scaring you into not saying anything, you might as well be living under it already.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
And what they do in the meantime is they distract you with this nonsensical bullshit, like renaming the Gulf of America, right? And taking over Greenland. And like, what are we going to do next? Call Canada North Florida and rename Marianas Trench the Patriots bathtub? Stop it. Like, these little shiny cat toys that they keep, these patriotic red, white, and blue straws. Like, stop it. This is none of that matters. Stop being distracted by that crap. Like, there is actual tangible stuff. Like, they keep saying, like, we're not going to send money to Ukraine because we need to focus here at home. And the kids are like, I'm starving. And they're like, fuck off. Like, pay attention to the things that actually matter, not the stupid, shiny, look over here at this monkey throwing shit against the wall. Like, pay attention to what's actually happening. They want you to be distracted. So, and again, I know I gotta block some pew motherfucking Paul. Get the hell out of my comments.
I mean, pew Paul is probably saying more about him, but it's probably more descriptive.
Well, listen, Pew Paul is very busy tweeting from his mom's basement. Like, thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much for watching, because your engagement helps our algorithm and it gets our message out to more and more people. So thank you all, and Grime World, all of you. Like, I can't thank you enough for being with us.
Cry
today.
harder, Pew Pew.
This is probably the most women they've ever seen together in one place ever. So
we're the first humans he's seen since he came out of his mother.
Go ahead, Joe. They're funny. They think like this is like amusing to us. Go ahead.
That's it. That was all I had about that. Well, okay. The Marianas Trench and Patriots back.
No, it was actually pretty funny.
The Pacific, the like Freedom Civic. Like, come on, stop it.
Yeah, remember Freedom Fries?
By the way.
Yes, Freedom Fries. I remember that. I do.
But this is like Freedom Fries on steroids, right? Gulf of America. I don't give a rat's ass what you call it, because the next president who comes in is probably going to hopefully will change it back. But I don't really care. Like, don't care. Of all the things that are happening right now, if this were the biggest problem in the world right now,
if that was our only problem right now, I think what happens there, because I'm waiting for them to try to change New Mexico to some kind of other name, right? And shout out to Deb Haaland, who is running for governor there. She's badass and whatever.
West Texas.
Yeah, she's amazing. And running for governor of New Mexico, as long as it's called that, we'll see. But it kind of, to Joe's point about the absurdity of the distractions. This is what I'm over. I'm over the way the media continues to chase those shiny objects and not inform the American people what's actually happening. So, like, I understand that when there's a plane crash and something like that happens, that you need to cover the breaking news. Sure. CNN, stop covering this for 10 freaking hours all day. Just, it's not necessary, right? Like what happened in Toronto, thank God everyone lived. It was an issue. But why are we covering this at the expense of what's happening right now in our government with things like Donald Trump signing executive orders that gives him the power of a king to just take over agencies, and to says that only me and the attorney general decide what's the law, what's legal. I'm sorry. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
This whole, like, why are we talking about all of the moves like that impact everyday Americans? Like the fact that how many people here know what happened to the CDC over the weekend? I didn't really even see that covered. That's a big deal because you know what's happening? There's a freaking measles outbreak happening in Texas right now that is spreading like wildfire. And then it's also spreading in other states. I think there's somewhere else. There's another
New
one.
Mexico, AKA West Texas, is what they're going to
Yes. Measles is one of the most highly contagious things. And it used to be eradicated in the US until these dumbasses have decided that vaccines are vaccines are a problem. The science for years that has eradicated polio and measles and all that. No, they were all wrong. Now, what are we? And bird flu. We've got a bird flu situation happening. And it's like, but the CDC, half the scientists, the people working on bird flu, they got fired indiscriminately with the Doge guys coming in. Just, no, it's too much waste, fraud, and abuse. What? Like, why is the media not focusing on that? People are going to die. Back to Julie's original point when we first started this death of expertise. The media knows better, but they're afraid. Because what else is happening? They should be pointing out, by the way, the Trump administration is coming for us through the FCC because they put loyalists in there because we're trying to bring you the truth. We're trying to bring the truth to the American people and report on the facts. They want us jailed. Elon Musk said that 60 Minutes should be put in prison, the producers, because they pointed out that he was wrong about things with USAID. This is a problem, but the American people, they're only the ones that aren't as engaged as we all are, right? The regular folks just going through their lives, they're going, oh my God, wait, what do you mean I'm not going to get my contract that my small business is relying on from whatever subcontractor works with the government? What do you mean? Why is this happening? Because Donald Trump decided to do this to you. This was a choice. Donald Trump is doing this to you by way of Elon Musk, who nobody elected. Where are the Democrats constantly hammering this home? I know there are people on the Democratic side who are like, stop going after Democrats. It's Republicans' fault. Listen, we already know it's the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' prerogative to put up a resistance and fight for people. Not this compromise. Well, we'll work with them here and there. No, you only work with them on your terms where it benefits the American people. You don't give the other side shit.
Nope.
By the way, the same Democrats, Tara, the same Democrats who are now apoplectic about the fact that Donald Trump just gave away the store to Vladimir Putin on Ukraine are doing the exact same thing here, right? So let's rewind for a second. Talking about this whole situation makes me really upset. But basically, Vladimir Putin launched an unprovoked, illegal war against the Ukrainians. First, during the Obama administration, 2014, he took the Crimean Peninsula. Did not belong to him, took it. Okay, we did nothing. Then he marched into the eastern part of Ukraine and took it. And now people are outraged about it, right? We have to stop him, and we should, of course. Same Democrats that are like, how dare Vladimir Putin do this? And why are these Republicans silent about this? Well, guess what, my friends? You are doing exactly that with Donald Trump. He came, he did things illegally. He's taking our money illegally. He's taking away our benefits illegally.
Yes. Keyword. They should use that word
all the time.
And you, by staying silent, are doing exactly what Donald Trump just did in Saudi Arabia with Vladimir Putin. He didn't, but Marco Rubio did with Lavrov, the Secretary of Russia, which is you are saying it's fine. You did it. Now we can work together. Like, what message does this send? Let's keep taking things illegally.
Yep.
I mean, if you think it's outrageous that Republicans are saying this about Putin, why don't you think it's outrageous that you're saying this about Donald Trump? Because the behavior is identical.
Yes,
that's right.
I will say, my father told me to stop cursing on the show, but sorry, Dad, it is fucking outrageous. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Because it's just, and because they don't even understand how much they're emulating the same pattern of behavior.
Right. They're even the same words. It's the same words. I mean, at least literally the same words. Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, all these people are puppets of Russian propaganda. I will repeatedly say this. I said it to the Guardian over the weekend. Donald Trump's presidency is the greatest, most successful propaganda op we have ever seen in history.
Yep.
Okay. This guy got reelected because of propaganda.
Yep.
And they are sitting back. The Russians are sitting back, taking shots, laughing their asses off because they're like, oh, wow, we didn't really even have to do that much. And they've been recruiting Donald Trump since the 80s. They saw him as a useful idiot.
Since we're on the subject, I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you two Russian phrases. One is полезный дурак, which means useful idiot in Russian. The other is активные меры, which means active measures. That is what he is. They took active measures. That is an old KGB phrase. And by the way, Vladimir Putin is an old KGB guy.
Correct.
And the active measure was this useful idiot, Donald Trump, whether he knows it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether Tulsi knows it or not. I have no idea whether she's a useful idiot or whether she actually is in on it. I don't even care because the end result is the same.
Yep.
It's the same. Yeah. And Democrats, and I'm sorry, look, I have devoted 30 years of my life to elect. You see this mug? If I happen to look at it. Okay. I don't know if people could see it here. Governor Jim McGreevey.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Whoa. That's
2001. 2001. I just randomly pulled this out. I just looked at it as I was talking. That's how long I've been at this. That's, by the way, people don't know, he's the former governor of New Jersey.
Yeah,
you don't look at
scandalous.
Yeah,
quite scandalous.
Yes, very scandalous.
But the point is, I've been at this since 1996. And I cannot believe that some of the very people that I helped to elect, and you know who you are sitting in the House and the Senate right now and saying things like, and you know who you are, well, we can't shut down the government because we'll be blamed for it. Translation. Well, we can't stop the Russians from marching east into Ukraine and taking the whole thing because that might start. We can't do that. That might start World War III. What? What? Same thing.
Yep.
Same fucking thing. Sorry again, Dad. Same thing. And I can't, like, it just slays me that I have devoted my life to this party, and there are very people who are few and far between who are standing up.
Well,
Julie, I feel your pain. I feel your pain on that. You have to remember, I'm the lone Republican here, right? Yeah. I spent almost 30 years of my life, and I started this, I got you beat, since 1993 as a freshman at George Washington University, and, you know, a wide-eyed, bushy-tailed college Republican coming to Washington, D.C. to change the world. Okay. I was vice chair of our college Republicans at GW in the early 90s. I worked on the whole Contract with America campaign in 1994 with various candidates all over the East Coast as a college student. That's how I cut my teeth in politics. I was interned on Capitol Hill for the Senate, in the Senate for a senator from Idaho. I interned for Michael Deaver at Edelman Public Relations. Michael Deaver, for those who don't know, was the architect of Ronald Reagan's great communicator image. He was a genius at this. Yeah. These are the people that I was able to learn from in my younger days as politics. That's why I'm so passionate about and knowledgeable about messaging, because I was on the other side of Julie, where we were getting Republicans elected and kicking the asses of Democrats in messaging. I trained for GoPac. GoPac was the organization that Newt Gingrich and those guys, we put together the fucking manual. Sorry, Julie's dad. The manual of how to win elections and where to start, starting with, you know, dog catcher and school boards and teaching people on a local level. I've been all over the country doing this back in 2000 or so, doing that. Like, I know how to do this, and Julie knows how to do this. And Michelle and Joe, as people who came in later into politics, looking at how they could be a part of it too, at bringing real world, like, proving that anyone can make a difference. That's why we say this. We don't say this because we're just some random people who just decided to fly off the handle and we don't know what we're talking about. Like, We live, breathe, and eat this shit. Julie and I did politically for years. And you know how incredibly disappointing it is for me as a Republican. Well, now I quit the party, but as a former Republican, to watch these guys completely sell out everything they said they believed. We were supposed to be the bulwark. We were the ones that were supposed to protect the Constitution. We were the ones that were supposed to yell, stop with thwart history when no one else would. And look at what they've done. They've turned this country into an authoritarian kakistocracy. Google it's the word of the day.
Yeah, I love kakistocracy. And I just wanted to point out to that end, like what is worth pointing out is, again, that they're trying to gaslight us by making us think that these messages aren't getting through, that there are more of them than there are of us. We talk about this all the time. There is no mandate, right? There is no mandate, friends. Not only that, but this messaging is actually getting through. They don't want you to know that. It's not getting through from legacy media. But Julie pointed out on our chat offline that there's polling out that Trump is underwater. He's underwater. Where's that? Where's that in legacy media? Right? Legacy media is not talking about that. You know why?
Exactly.
Because they don't want to, because they're afraid. But we are. Inflation is up. Prices are up. The GDP is down. Jobs are down. Consumer spending is down. People are scared. And you know what else? Joe Rogan's podcast got beat. They got beat by an anti-Trump podcast I'm not going to mention, but I'm just saying the energy is out there. People are looking for the truth. The resistance, so to speak, the persistence, the resilience is finding a way where legacy media is dropping the ball because they're afraid. We cannot be afraid. Yes, we can be extremely fucking disappointed and angry. Sorry, Julie's dad, about what is happening on both sides of the aisle, where everybody is playing like status quo on one side, like this is fine. Literally that meme where the dog's sitting there with a coffee cup and the Republicans are like just burning it all down. But the American people are still going and more increasingly saying no. And where do I find my community? Where do I find my truth tellers? Where do I find my fact checkers? Where do I find those holding truth to power? And they're finding them. They're here.
Right here.
Like this.
Let me tell you something, you guys. And I want everybody here who's listening to really hear me on this. We did our coffee and conversation. And this is, I swear to God, this is not a plug for this. I'm literally just, since we're on the subject, we did our coffee and conversation. We had no idea who was going to show up. First one we did a few weeks ago. On a Saturday morning at 10 a.m., people have a lot of stuff they could be doing on a Saturday morning, like a lot of stuff they could be doing on a Saturday morning, rather than sitting in front of a computer or on their phone watching four people who they don't know personally. 10,000 people showed up, either live or watched the replay.
Yeah.
Same thing last week.
Yep.
And then randomly, when I say randomly, I mean last minute, I decided to do a subscriber chat for my podcast. For my Substack on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., where people have even more stuff they could be doing than Saturday morning. And people showed up, and I'm telling you, people are angry. They are angry. They're not even scared anymore. They're angry. They're beside themselves. They want leadership. They want a solution, and they don't feel. These are random people. I don't know any of them. Except thank you so much for subscribing. I mean, there are literally people who just happen to subscribe to my Substack who literally were looking for solutions.
Yep.
For me. Now, I'm really grateful for that, but I am not an elected official. There's only so much that I can do. There's only so much that any of us can do. I have some ideas. Like my personal thing is, Tara, do you remember how people used to do friend-to-friend letters back in the day, back in the 90s? Yes. Like, I'm not kidding. So back in the 90s, before modeling became a thing, and before we started going down this whole rabbit hole of segmenting communities.
Yeah, before the algorithm was a thing.
The algorithm and all this other stuff. What you used to do, this is a really low kind of fi way of doing things. You would sit down and you would handwrite a note to your neighbor, to your aunt, to your friends, to whoever, saying, hey, my friend Tara is running for city mayor. And you may not know her, but let me tell you about my friend Tara. And because it came from me, people they know and trust, they would be more inclined to support Tara than if they got 20 pieces of mail from Tara's campaign saying how great Tara is, right?
Yep.
We need to bring that kind of stuff back. I mean, people will don't rely on Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi. Like, don't rely on any of these people to do it for you. If you see something that's outrageous, or you want to get behind an issue, you want to get behind a candidate, write to your friends, email them, tell them, I really, really, really am passionate about this issue. They'll believe it more if it's coming from you. Even if they don't agree with you politically, they'll still listen
100%.
because it's you, because they know you.
That's right. Start the group chat, right? Everybody's got a group chat in some way, shape, or form. You can slide it into the group chat and be like, hey guys, you know, and it can start with your local races. Like a lot's going on nationally, but we can't take our eyes off the ball locally, state and local, especially if you live in Virginia or New Jersey or Louisiana or places like in Florida and New York State where they have special elections coming up. That matters also. It all starts there because it's your state and local governments that pass those laws that impact your lives every day more immediately. They're the ones that are passing the laws like, I don't know, fetal personhood, or like in Missouri, where they're trying to start a registry, a pregnancy registry for women. This is happening. Isn't Jess from Missouri, Joe?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
We should get her on the show to talk about
that.
Yeah. And like, or we'll bring her on the stakes too, to talk about it. Shameless plug, everybody check out Julie's Substack, Salty Politics, Joe's Substack, Are You Effing Kidding Me? I'm starting a Substack. We're getting ready to launch. It's called Uncompromised. So go and sign up and you'll get when the launch is happening. And we're trying to get Michelle on Substack. We're going to get her there too. But we do a show on Thursdays at 7 p.m. called through Seneca Project called The Stakes. Like, we are out here trying to get people informed and galvanized so that they don't feel demoralized, because now is no time for that. We don't have time for it. I mean, we are building this community of people because people are looking for that. To Joe's point, to Julie's point, to Michelle's point, this is where it is. We're building that community. And then everybody else, my tiny ripples of hope, my RFK reference, the good RFK, the tiny ripples of hope build a current. And that's what we're trying to do here. Every single person can make a difference. If it's that one text, if it's that one letter, if it's you start a weekly get together with your girlfriends, if it's brunch on Sundays where you talk a little bit about what are we doing this week, if it's going to a protest, if it's getting people together to call your congressmen and your senators or your local folks, do that. Because believe me, it matters. Democrats are bitching about the protest because people were calling them. They're like, don't call us, blame the Republicans. No, we're going to call you too. You guys have a job to do too. Stop complaining and do. There is no try, just do.
Right, Yoda. I just want to add to that really fast because there is something huge that we can all do and we need to get momentum behind it. Like literally right now, there are 3 special elections, y'all. 2 in Florida, 1 in New York. We need 1 seat to block them, 2 seats to stop them. 3 seats and we retake the House. That's what we need. Yes, they are ruby red districts, but the momentum is on our side and stranger things have happened. Look at the motherfucker in the Sorry Julie's Dad White House. Stranger things have happened. There is no reason to believe we cannot capture all 3 of those. But again, remember, 1 to block them, 2 to stop them, 3 seats, and we retake the House. Think about the bulwark, not a plug, that is actually to the worst possible agendas that they could have right now. We can do that, and we can do that within the next month and a half because even sooner. We're in April. These elections are in April, guys. And wouldn't it be lovely to take Trashy Stefanik's seat and flip that?
Oh man, listen, that's Michelle's home district, and we had the candidate up there, Blake Dendenbean. He's running. He's a dairy farmer, great guy, and he's up there in New York 21. We had him on the stakes a couple of weeks ago to introduce him to our folks. And look, Michelle can tell you more about that, but that district has the potential to go blue. So, every single vote counts. The most committed wins. Special elections are about who is the most committed on the ground, paying attention. Go ahead, Michelle. You want to talk just quickly since Joe brought it up?
Yeah. So obviously there was redistricting in New York State this past year. So like the district has moved a little bit, but for the most part, it has stayed the same. And while I can't speak to the Florida specials, New York 21 is my home district. That is where I grew up. That's where my family is from. And I can tell you that for many, many years, there was a Republican congressman there named John McHugh. He was appointed to Secretary of the Army by Barack Obama. And when that seat opened for the first time in I don't know how many years, there was a special election and a Democrat won. His name was Bill Owens. And the reason that he won in a very conservative district is because it was a candidate quality issue on the right. So they had one person running as a Republican, and then they had another conservative running as an independent, and therefore was able to siphon off enough votes. And of course, with the special elections, there's a turnout issue also. Bill Owens was able to pick up the seat for the Democrats. And then he left a couple years later, and that's when Elise Stefanik won, and then But this time around, there is a very similar situation kind of going on. First of all, Kathy Hochul has not called the date for the election yet because Elise Stefanik has not technically resigned yet. So there is
90 days, right? It's 90 days when she calls
90 days from when she calls it. Yeah. And then there's also some discussion about how long she's going to wait, blah, 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 blah. But just assume that it's going to happen soon, probably in May. So there's a candidate equality issue happening again. There's this one guy who's a super right-wing Roger Stone type. I forget what his name, something Constantino. He owns like a sticker company or something like that. Super far right, Elon Musk kind of guy. If he's not chosen as the Republican candidate to run in this special election, he will most likely get signatures to run third party or as an independent. There's also Mark Molinaro, who was a former congressman downstate, who's thinking about running as well. So I say all this because I do think that there's going to be a three-way race. It certainly is looking like this is a possibility. And if that is a possibility,
that benefits Blake, right? Benefits the Dems.
Benefits Blake. And we could pick this seat up, especially now in a time when turnout is going to be an issue. And if, to Tara's point, the most dedicated people are the ones that will win because we show up and we do the work.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And Democrats are motivated. They are motivated right now, y'all. Independents too.
Yeah.
What are you over? Because we never got to what you're over.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Michelle, that's right. You're up. What are you over? I mean, we've been cooking. We've been cooking this show. Yeah, there's a lot to it. It's midweek. We're over a lot.
So if you weren't here for the beginning of the show, I'm on vacation.
Well deserved, by the way. She hasn't had a vacation in like 3 years, folks. So
yeah, it's been
well deserved.
I've taken a vacation.
Still working though.
But I'm still working, right? So I will say that, I've as much as I've been trying to pay attention this week, I've been in and out. So, but it's hard to kind of stay away. But I will say that I caught a couple things this morning when I woke up that really kind of pissed me off in a special kind of way. One of them was an interview with Tom Suozzi, who is a congressman from New York. He was on The Daily Show saying that, there's a time and a place to fight back. There's a time and a place for Democrats to be resisting what's going on right now because people elected us to reach across the aisle and to come halfway and meet the Trump people halfway. And to Jordan Klepper's, credit, he was like, okay, now, so are we going to meet people at like 10 million deportations? Should we meet them at 5? Like, where are we going here? And I'm so tired of this. I am so over this weak sauce, weak ass Democrats pretending that we elected them to do nothing, pretending that we elected them to just sit on their hands and sit on their asses and say, well, we're not in the majority. There's like a 3-seat difference in the House. That's it. That's it. It's not like they have some sort of huge mandate. I'm so over this whole, well, they have a mandate. No, they don't.
Correct.
Kamala Harris had 220,000 fewer votes electorally in those 4 or 5 swing states. And
which we predicted, by the way. I just want to say this is something that we said at Seneca Project during the election, that it would come down to a couple 100,000 votes in 4 swing states, and damn sure it did.
And it did. And because of that, we're in this situation where we're dealing with a mad king and an oligarch running our country. So no, Tom Suozzi, we don't want you to work with them. We don't want you to reach across the aisle. And while I'm at it, Democrats who seem to hold some people up to a certain standard and not the others. George Clooney. So you're doing a Broadway show, Good Night and Good Luck. It's a stage version of the film. Great story. We love it. You got a lot of time to go on Stephen Colbert and do all kinds of other things. No time to write an op-ed for the New York Times attacking Donald Trump and Elon Musk like you did for Joe Biden. You don't have time for this? You're a busy guy.
Weird.
You're a busy guy.
Remember, though, he said after he got so much pushback and Trump won that he's now out of politics. It's like, oh, now you're out.
Oh, great.
Yeah, thanks.
He's out of politics.
Batman once, please.
Yeah.
Great. He's so out of politics that he's doing a Broadway show, I think at the Winter Garden.
Yep,
Good luck playing Edward R. Murrow, who is a guy who was exposing the Red Scare going on with journalists in the 50s. So I'm sorry, are you out of politics or you aren't? Because here's the thing. The majority of Americans, the vast majority of Americans do not have millions of dollars. We're not sitting on millions of dollars and a villa in Lake Como, Italy that we can run off with our beautiful, brilliant wife and children. Okay? The rest of us have to live here and fight back here. We don't have that luxury. Even the people who are getting by, and, you know, I feel like I'm a very fortunate person. I got a roof over my head, okay? But I do not have the means to do that. Not on my best day. Not most people do not. So spare me, George Clooney. Spare me. This is the stuff that really, like, it burns me, because there's such an enormous privilege and platform that celebrities with that level of wealth and influence have that can actually make a difference. And when it matters most, they sit there with their mouth closed and their hands open, waiting for their next job and their next paycheck. Well, the rest of us sit here and we have to go out and do the dirty work for them. So spare me. And while you're at it, George Clooney, if you have a couple minutes, maybe put together a little ChatGPT op-ed and, you know, let us know how you feel about Donald Trump, because we've been waiting.
Amen to that, Michelle. You know, speaking of Lake Como, to JoJo's reference earlier about what some things just need to be spaghetti, right? That was the phrase. So Julie speaks fluent Russian and I speak very terrible Italian, but that phrase, actually, since you brought up Lake Como, is alcune cose devono essere solo spaghetti. That's what that is in Italian. So
that was so sexy.
There's a whole
multilingual up here. It's like, damn.
Listen, I got married in Sicily. My grandmother has Italian blood from Sicily. We were still trying to trace where exactly, but it's in my blood, and I have love for Italy and particularly for Sicily. So yes, any opportunity I can to speak my terrible Italian, I try to take it.
I'm going to make you say that like something in Italian to me every day, just so I can be like, oh, Cara, tell me how to say potted plant. Just say it.
Well, fiori is flowers, but yeah.
Oh. But now that you share, I love Sicily too, but I've been there once. I fell in love. I'm Italian by injection, but
listen, White Lotus, back to the original thing. When they did White Lotus in Sicily last season, I was like, oh my gosh, because Cefalù is one of the places where I actually met my wedding photographer. And so the resort was in Taormina, right? But the beach scenes were in Cefalù, and only people who know the difference would catch that. And I immediately was like, wait a minute, that's not Taormina, that's Cefalù. And I knew right away, because there is no real beach like that in Taormina. And that's where I met my wedding photographer in 2009 when I went on a trip to visit my friends in Sicily. He was a lifeguard on the beach there. And he asked me in Italian if he could take a photograph of me because he liked my eyes. And I said, sure. And I said, sure. He was a little cute Italian, a little cute Sicilian, with dark hair and light eyes. And I said, sure. And then we stayed friends on Facebook. And I come to find out, this guy, not only was he a lifeguard, he was an unbelievably talented photographer. And he's like the Ansel Adams of wedding photography in Sicily. And when it was time for my husband and I to get married many years later, I asked him to be our wedding photographer. And he said he'd be honored and he would do it for a very low price. And that can we use our photographs to promote his wedding photography business? We're like, yes, of course. His name is Salvatore Cimino. And he's now one of the biggest wedding photographers in all of Sicily and Italy.
Wow.
He is amazing. So yes. So shout out to them.
We need to see those pictures, but we never got to what you're over. I don't think, right?
I did. I said I was over the media. I was over the media Julie was chasing after shiny objects.
Oh, yes. That's right. But okay. Yes. We need to find those. We need to see those pictures, and I need to find that.
I post them every year during our wedding anniversary in September. And last year for our 10-year wedding anniversary, we went back to Castello di Cacamo. We got married in this big, beautiful Norman 1,000-year-old castle in Sicily, and had dinner by the castle. And we were thrilled to do that and did an Italian kind of 10-year anniversary.
Wow.
and it's in my blood. I love it. It's my happy place, and where I will abscond if it ever comes to that. There in New Zealand, I don't know. There's some fascism going on in Italy too.
Yeah, they also just made it like 10 times harder to get your natural
citizenship. Yeah.
My husband is Italian. His family's from Sicily, actually, funny enough. And we were looking into it, and they just there's like a minor rule, I think it's called, and there's a naturalization cutoff that they changed literally like 3 months ago. So that's the people that were in line at the embassy to try to get their Italian citizenship have now been.
Yeah, we looked into it too. I looked into it also. My mom can get it, but I can't because it's for her it's grandfather, for me it's great grandfather, so it's a whole thing. But anyway, we did get an authentic Italian marriage certificate, which was a nightmare of bureaucracy. You think American bureaucracy is bad? Oh my God, Italy makes it look like,
and everything's super old over there too, right?
Oh my God, I'll tell that story another time about where we had to go, what we had to do, and like literally going to a tabacchi, which is like the Italian version of a bodega, to pay our money to prove that we got certain paperwork signed in the prefettura, which is like the court. It's a whole thing. It's a very funny story. I'll save it.
Awesome. All right.
Well, at that point, oh my goodness, it's already after 1. We want to thank everyone who joined us. An amazing, amazing show today. People are telling us what they're over. I think we had a couple, just one before we go. Some folks sent in their over it's. Here's a couple that we got that we didn't get to earlier because we were on a roll, but I think we can do it now. Whitley said, they say people who give birth at 35 or older live longer. Why did I sign up to live longer? And how is this possible when I'm sicker and tireder than I've ever been? She's over it. God bless Whitley for being pregnant, wishing you a happy pregnancy and a safe and healthy one. And all of us here,
35.
Yeah, all of us here are over 35. Some have children, some do not. But I don't think we mind living longer. I wouldn't mind living longer, but
wiser. Well, I'm so much wiser.
I had my son when I was 39, I want to say. And let me tell you, being an older parent is great because you got all this other stuff out of your system and you can focus on your mom. So congrats, Whitley. It's really awesome.
Yeah, congrats.
Yes. I think we had another one here. New pandemic just dropped. # over it. I can't read who that's from, but yeah, we're with you, dude. That's what I was talking about earlier with the measles outbreak and Julie talking about the death of expertise. Like, we are all over that. We're not trying to die from a stupid preventable pandemic or disease because we've got jerk-offs running the Health and Human Services.
I'm trying to figure out if this guy is a conspiracy theorist, because remember Plandemic was like the fake documentary that came out at the beginning of COVID that on YouTube. It was fake and it wasn't real.
You're saying bird flu is, of course it is.
Oh, did not know that.
Just like, you know what, my man? If you think it's fake, more power to you. Nobody's coming to see you this time because Robert F. Kennedy doesn't believe in vaccines.
Correct. So you all can, my favorite was they died doing what they loved best, denying science to own the libs. Like,
yes. Bean, what if it's just we don't pay our federal taxes or we all file an extension over it? Listen, the IRS and tax season this year is about to be a shit show and a half. And, you can thank you if you don't get your tax return, you can thank Elon Musk and Doge and Trump.
Or if you get audited because you might have just said something they don't like to hear.
Right.
Or they might accidentally send you tainted baby formula instead of your tax. Your tax.
Oh my gosh.
Like, whoops, we crossed the streams there, friends. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Well, there were a couple others about how they're over the weather and that it's cold and freezing. And I'm with you. There it is. Roses are red, yours are blue. I'm sick and tired of winter. How about you? Yes, I'm with you. There's a polar vortex coming through the East Coast right now. And F you, Michelle, because you're out where it's very warm and,
I got balloons.
Where'd you get balloons?
Give me summer, please.
It's so weird. And, we're kitty people, except for Julie, right? You have a dog.
I have a dog.
Joe, you have a dog. Michelle.
Oh, yeah, my Ruby.
Right?
Yeah,
we're the cat lady.
Georgia.
Well, this makes me happy. This week. Yes. I think I need to post some pictures of Rafi because Rafi sleeps like spread eagle on his back and it's the cutest thing ever. And I think he gets to live an over it life every day.
That's the thing.
So thank you guys. Yes. Thank you guys. Keep sending in your overits. We'll try to feature them on the show, and we'll leave it on a fluffy kitty note. And we'll see you guys on Saturday for Coffee and Conversation at 10 a.m. And if you want to come check us out at Seneca Project, the Stakes tomorrow, live at 7:30. And make sure you subscribe to Joe and Julie's Substacks and mine, Uncompromised, coming soon. Woo! See you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.